How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Set 6, and today we're going to be finishing the process of catching up. So, I've watched a few things, I've read a few things, and there's not one whole interview that's interesting anymore. We've kind of covered a lot of it with what we've already looked at, with it being Tokyo Game Show, whether it's the interviews from GameSpark and Game Watch. We've kind of covered most things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of hop about and pick out a few interesting points to talk about. I think that's going to be the best thing, but what I'm going to say is, if there's anything that I've not covered, leave it in the comments below, and I'll try and get around to it over the next few days and pick up on that. But yeah, as far as I can tell, I'd be treading a lot of old ground if I went over any interviews in full at this point. So I don't want to do that. We'll end up with another 30-minute video and most of it will be repetitive. Instead, like I say, we're going to hop about, we're going to pick and choose, and we're going to see just generally what's been said. So don't forget, drop a like on the video, subscribe for future content. We're creeping up to that 2,000 subscribers mark now, and we're doing it a lot faster than we got to 1,000. So a massive thank you for everyone that has subscribed and liked the videos and commented on the videos. I do appreciate it. I am going to try and get round to more comments over time, but it's just a bit tough for me to keep on top of them. But I'll get there. But let's crack on with this video. So the first interview that we're going to grab a few pieces from is an interview that was done on the Square Enix website, and it's an interview with Naoki Hamaguchi. So I'm not going to go through everything. I'll again leave the link in the description so that if you want to go and read the full interview, you can do. But let's just cherry pick a few bits out of this. So one interesting point comes straight off the bat, and Hamaguchi is asked how much of the original story of Final Fantasy VII is included in this game. And Hamaguchi responds that the locations covered in the game go up to the Forgotten Capital, which is stuff that we expected, but it's interesting the way that he avoided talking about the story and chose to just speak about the locations. So I get the feeling that there's going to be a fair bit of switching around with what happens with the main story. Whether or not things happen in a completely different order or a slightly different order, I'm not too sure. But they keep focusing on locations. Whenever they're asked about the story, they tend to answer the locations. So they're kind of avoiding talking about the story in a lot of ways. It's interesting to me. It's been something that's kind of set alarm bells ringing for me for a while. This is why I'm in the camp of the game is going to change quite a bit. By the end of Rebirth at the very least. Possibly earlier, but by the end of Rebirth I think things are going to be completely different in a lot of ways to how they were in the OG. And the fact that they refuse to talk about the story and just keep talking about the locations, like I say, sets alarm bells ringing. We get the line about you don't have to have played Remake. All three of the Remake project titles have been designed as standalone games, so they're going to be saying the exact same thing when Part 3 comes out. You don't have to have played Remake or Rebirth in order to understand what's going on. You can play them as standalone games. But he does make a point of saying that he thinks it's worthwhile to play Remake before Rebirth, but it's not essential. And they do have a digest movie in the game that'll catch you up. I'd be intrigued to see how long that movie is. I'm going to guess it'll just be a few minutes. But again, hitting this, oh yeah, they're all standalone games. Those of us that know it isn't. I mean, I suppose you can play them as a standalone game, but you'll be missing out on a solid percentage of what goes on. You'll be missing a lot of context. Yeah, I don't agree with this, but they keep saying it, and Part 3 is going to be the same deal as well, according to this statement. So I thought that was an interesting one to pick up on. We get a little talk about the combat, but then we get to the materia systems, and Hamaguchi's asked, are there any new materia to look forward to, and has the system evolved from the previous game? And Hamaguchi says that there's new materia types in FF7 Rebirth in comparison to Remake, and that this will allow for new combinations in battle. Hopefully that means it's going to get closer to some of the stuff that you could pull off in the OG, because in the OG Final Fantasy VII you could pull off an astonishing amount of materia combinations. If you've not watched 4-8 Productions video on materia combinations, go and watch it. Just go and watch it, it's phenomenal. It is an absolutely phenomenal video, and some of the stuff that you can pull off in the OG, it's just highlighted there. So hopefully we get something akin to that in Rebirth. We also get that there are materia that automate some of your actions in battle, like an AI, as well as other exciting new types. So I'm going to guess that means that there's Gambit materia. If you've played Final Fantasy XII, you know what a Gambit is. It seems like there's going to be materia that do that, although seemingly at a pretty limited rate in comparison to something like Final Fantasy XII. Final Fantasy XII, you could automate literally everything with various different variations on how you automated it. In this, it seems like it's going to be very situational, but it's in there nonetheless. So you could have your non-controlled characters making sure that they focus on a specific thing in a certain situation. That's what I'm getting from this. Now, we get some talk about the combat, we get some talk about the chocobos, the size of the world, things like that. We've already covered that in the previous video, go check it out if you haven't already. But the next interesting thing that I saw was about Cloud and his little Segway that he's mooching through Costa del Sol on. And Hamaguchi says that they wanted players to experience feelings of liberation and freedom in the Costa del Sol resort area, so they've given Cloud and the gang a fun and quirky little vehicle to scoot around on, rather than walking like usual. There is also a special campaign being run in-game, where you can earn souvenirs from travelling certain distances on them, so I urge players to take them for a spin when you visit Costa del Sol. So we get to have some fun zipping around on Segways, but it seems like there's going to be a quest alongside that. I just thought I'd drop this in here, you know, why not? Little Segway quest. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see all of the gang moving down the sidewalk on Segways. I think that could be quite funny. But anyway, we get confirmation of the tiny Bronco, and we also get confirmation that it does get its wings clipped, so to speak, in the same manner that it does in the OG, which kind of suggests to me that Rufus comes looking for the tiny Bronco still, because that's what he does in the OG. He needs the tiny Bronco to chase after Sephiroth, and we steal it. Well, he tries to steal it from Sid, but then we steal it from Sid, but then Sid comes with us. You know what I mean? So, yeah, looks like that's going to go down. Tiny Bronco confirmed. Does suggest that we'll definitely be meeting Sid. So, looking forward to that. I know I covered this in a previous video, but I'm very excited for Sid. So, you know, just wanted to throw it out there again. Why not? Now, he does get asked again about new story elements in the game, and he says, as with Remake, we've been careful to maintain the storyline from the original game, while at the same time adding extra story content to flesh it out as a remake. In addition to the main story, there has also been a huge amount of new side content added, so you can expect to see new story told through that as well. Again, I mean, I don't feel like they're flat out saying that it's going to stay the same. They're saying that they're maintaining the story of the original game, but that wasn't the problem with them. It was the stuff that they did additional to it that changed the context of the original story of the game. So the new stuff is changing the context of the original story, and by having the two together, it's different. That's my take on it, at least. I hope people get what I'm saying when I say that. Like, the new stuff, while it is new and the old stuff is still there, the new stuff being added to it changes the context in a big way. So, yeah, I don't know how much of the original storyline we'll see. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a point where things are just going to go completely off the rails. I feel like it's probably going to be Nibelheim or the end of Rebirth at the Forgotten City. It's going to be one of the two. Sorry, the Forgotten Capital. It's going to be one of the two. But we shall see. We shall see. We get a little bit more hype from all the mini-games, Queen's Blood especially. I'm looking forward to that one. Like I said, I broke it down in the Tokyo Game Show video that I did. I'm going to clip that up into a short and put that up on YouTube as well, so you can get it that way if you want, if you just want the Queen's Blood stuff. But yeah, Queen's Blood, looking like it's going to be the thing that alongside Chocobo Racing, it looks like they're going to pin the hopes on Queen's Blood a bit. It does make me think that we're probably not going to get the Fort Condor game back, which I'm a little bit sad about, because I quite enjoyed the Fort Condor game, but, you know, we'll see. You never know. You never know. But then this interview trails off into marketing, basically, prices, release dates, things like that. So there was some interesting stuff in there. I'm still not 100% how I feel about what they keep saying about the story, because it is obviously different. Even though it's the same in a lot of ways, it is obviously different. So we'll just have to see. I'm not going to let myself get too stressed out about it. I'm just going to see what happens. Go with the... I am along for the ride. I am along for the ride. I'm here. So, yeah, let's see where it goes. So, the next thing I want to talk about, it's like a press thing that got released. I saw a few people tweeting screenshots of it and tweeting the whole thing over on Twitter, tweets, X, who cares. But yeah, I saw a fair bit of it, and the first page is a little bit interesting. It kind of just gives an overview and about for the game. But towards the end of the first page, it talks about Beyond the Walls of Fate. And it says, in this standalone adventure for fans and newcomers, Cloud and his comrades venture across the planet, their fates unwritten, making each step outside of the dystopian city of Midgar fresh and mysterious. So, fates unwritten. But it's staying the same. Do you know what I mean? It's just, there's so much conflicting messaging. They're doing a brilliant job of keeping everybody confused and on the toes. I'll give them that. They're doing a brilliant job of it. Like, well played. Well played. The only other massively interesting thing on here, I might do a separate video on this entirely, because we do have character profiles for each character, but it's information we already know and that's already on the website, so I don't know. But there's this page about the story, and this is a little bit interesting, especially from the perspective of talking about Zack, how he was beaten and battered from his fight against an army of troopers, hobbling across the wastelands into Midgar with a Mako-poisoned Cloud on his shoulder. Though he has managed to escape death for now, the ominous rift in the sky gives him little reason to rejoice. And we do see that rift at the start of the trailer that they recently dropped. Looks a bit sus, probably to do with the singularity and the tornado and everything that went down. In fact, almost certainly a remnant of that. But maybe it gives an indication going forwards as to where things could go. Maybe the rift is symbolic of maybe a break in time that could explain what's gone on. Maybe it could be like the corridor between two realities if you're in the two timeline camp. If you're in the one timeline camp, you could argue that it's the point where the merger originated from. So because the merger originated from here, it created a rift in the sky, but everything is merged. I don't know. There's so many possibilities to look at as far as this rift, but they're making a point of making it clear to us. Cloud and Zack, alive, Midgar, rift. Like, they're making that point. We also get confirmation that the weapons are about. The next paragraph reads, "This is hardly the only threat facing the world, however. The Shinra Resistance Committee, backed by Wutai's interim government, declares war on the company. Figures shrouded in black robes carry with them the corpse of Genova, a veritable calamity from another word, and the weapons, fierce and monstrous guardians of the planet, have recently awakened." So there's another confirmation that the weapons have woken up early, it would seem, because weapons don't awake until Meteor is summoned and the Northern Crater and all that business. So it looks like we're going to see them far earlier than we would do, which is again another change in a story that's staying the same. Do you see why I have trust issues? And then the final bit's also quite interesting. Amid this chaos, Sephiroth has set his plan in motion, thus ensuring myriad fates intertwine and are birthed anew. Whose fates he's talking about remains to be seen, almost certainly his own, but potentially Zack's, Cloud's. I mean, Zack's fate is already birthed anew. He has got a completely different fate, and based on what's been said in this page here, the party have got completely unwritten fates. So, yeah, Sephiroth's doing good. Sephiroth's plan is going well at the minute, and I think it's going to continue going well throughout Rebirth. But yeah, like I say, that's all of the interesting stuff that I've pulled out from that document. There are quite a few more pages of stuff in there. I may do a full video breaking that, and I'm going to read through the whole thing later and see if there's anything particularly interesting in there. But other than that, there's a couple of other things to look at. So we had an interview with The Guardian recently, where they spoke to Tetsuya Nomura, and there's a couple of interesting things. I mean, in particular, there's one massively interesting thing in this. And it's something that I've seen a lot of people cling into, and Nomura's kind of said, if you play right through to the end of Rebirth, the whole project, it will link up to Advent Children, so you don't need to worry about that. He says with a knowing smile. And everyone, well, not everyone, a lot of people have taken that as like, oh, there's confirmation, the story's saying the same, it links up to Advent Children, there you go. But the thing is, him saying it links up to Advent Children could mean that Advent Children is explained away in Remake. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to stay the same and Remake it will lead directly into Advent Children as a project. Don't get me wrong, it could mean that, but it could also mean that we deal with Geostigma in the Remake and Rebirth project. At some point, maybe in Part 3. Maybe Part 3 we are existing in an Advent Children time frame. Maybe that's what's happened, because Advent Children's a few years after the OG. Maybe we end up with some sort of time skip. I wouldn't rule it out. Like, this is the thing, people are quite quick to rule things out. I'm not necessarily looking to rule things out, I'm kind of looking at all of the possibilities. So don't get me wrong, I do think it is possible that this is what he's saying, that it just goes through to Advent Children and things will continue, and you'll be able to do the Remake project and then do Advent Children after it, and there won't be any missed beats. That could be what he means. But I also don't think people should rule out the possibility that he means we'll address Advent Children in the Remake project. Because that way, it does link up. Advent Children doesn't exist afterwards, but the story of the project links up with Advent Children. Just maybe not in a way that we would expect. So that's something to be mindful of. It's probably the only interesting thing in this interview. I've read through it briefly and skimmed through it, and it is predominantly stuff that we've already spoke about. It's much more talking about the history in the past as well. So if you're interested in it, I will again leave a link to this interview in the description so that you can get to it and check it out. But that then leaves me with pretty much one more thing to look at. This is a translation that was done by the Shinra Archaeology Department, as far as I can tell. Tetsuya Nomura did a comment on the game on the official Japanese Final Fantasy VII Twitter account, and in there he says, FF7 Rebirth's key visual represents the three worlds that form the crux of the game's story. At the centre is Sephiroth, the origin of a past incident, flanked by Cloud and Zack, whose fates he tore asunder. The red sky covering the world calls to mind Sephiroth's blood and fire. Now, I did briefly speak about this in the Tokyo Game Show breakdown, and what I was saying was, it looks like it's kind of like the key arts for each of the games. So the first game's got that kind of green Mako-tinged aesthetic to it in the key art, the box art and things like that. And that's Cloud's world on the left. Now Rebirth, we've got Sephiroth's world, which has got like the red coloration to it. We actually see that red lightning like striking when the tornado is active at the end of Remake, start of Rebirth, you know, that incident. So that's the suggestion for Rebirth, which then leads me to think that the third game will have more of this blue clear sky styling about it, potentially. What that means, I'm not too sure, but then that would represent Zack's world. I don't think... A lot of people have kind of jumped on this and thought, oh, three timelines, there you go, 3 worlds. I don't think that's the case. A lot of people have jumped on this to say 2 timelines on the live stream, which makes 3. Again, I don't personally think that's the case. I mean, it could be. Again, like I say, we don't massively rule out possibilities. And it could be a suggestion that by bringing these 2 worlds together, bringing Cloud and Zack's world together with Sephiroth within it, that's the one timeline. So, do you see how it could be spanned in various different ways? As far as the actual artwork itself goes, like I had that thought about the games. As far as the worlds and the fates of the characters, 100%. You've got Cloud and Zack on either side of Sephiroth, who's just kind of split both of them asunder. But he's not only done that, he's kind of destroyed both of their existences as well. Like, Zack and Cloud go through innumerable levels of shit because of Sephiroth after the Nibelheim incident. So, I don't know which route it's going, but it definitely leans further into the fact that Sephiroth needs both Cloud and Zack for something. Like, Sephiroth is trying to do something. That line that we got previously as well about their destinies being intertwined and birthed anew, that suggests what's going on here with Cloud and Zack. So in this image, you've got Cloud and Zack whose fates and destinies are set to be birthed anew. But then you've also got Sephiroth, who's the catalyst of not only this rebirth that we're seeing, but also of the initial destruction of everything and the separation of these 2 existences. It's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy. I'm looking forward to the next trailer because they've suggested to us that the next trailer is going to be the story-heavy one. That's going to be the one for people like us who want the story content and, you know, we're into the mysteries and everything like that. This recent dump of information has mostly been for people that are just going to play the game. New people, old people, anybody. And as such, things have been kept pretty generic. The next trailer, which I am going to guess is going to be at the Game Awards, that's my guess, but the next trailer, that's going to be where they really crank it up a little bit and mess with everybody's heads. Even still though, like this dump of information that we've got recently has given me quite a bit to think about. Like I say, I'm going to start churning out theory videos now over the next few weeks leading up to the Game Awards, when we'll probably get the next load of information. I'm also going to start posting the first Soldier content from Ever Crisis. I'm going to just do a quick video on each chapter. I think that's what it's going to be. I'm going to do one quick video on each chapter, put it in a playlist, so those of you that don't want to play Ever Crisis or don't really do mobile gaming or anything like that, you'll be able to just get the story content. So I expect the first one of them to drop in the next few days as well. But yeah, lots to think about. Lots to think about, lots to review, lots to discuss. Get your thoughts in the comments below. If you disagree with things that I've said in the video, tell us. Have a conversation with each other as well. You know what I mean? Share ideas. Let's all just get the brains going on this one, because it could still go so many different ways. Like, nothing's really been confirmed narrative-wise. We've had a lot of things confirmed, like, oh, Chocobo Racing's in. Oh, it's going to be a big open-ish world. we've got this, we've got that. We've had all this sort of stuff confirmed. Zack's alive. That's probably the main one, actually. That's probably the biggest story thing that we've had confirmed. Zack is alive. But we still don't know where and when he is. We have a good idea where and when he is, and I think he's in Midgar in the present day, dealing with the aftermath of the tornado. But there's possibilities. It's not nailed on that that's where it is. It's probable, but I don't think it's nailed on. But now we know he's alive, which kind of rules out the live stream for me. Like, he's not alive in the live stream, because if you're in the live stream, you're not alive, really. Do you know what I mean? He's not taking a day trip to the live stream or anything like that. This has been a consistent thing. He would have died if he was in the live stream. So, this suggests to me that he is actually alive. But other than that, I don't think we've had that much confirmed. We still don't know how many timelines it is. It's probably 1 or 2. It's 1 or 2. I don't think we go beyond 2. It's not string theory. I don't think we go beyond 2. But that's very up in the air. We don't know what's going on with the characters. We don't really know what's going on with Sephiroth. We don't really know if it's 1 or 2 timelines. We don't know shit. So, the next trailer is going to be a big one. But I get the feeling, and I'm going to predict this now, that we still won't know shit by the end of that trailer. And I said it earlier in the video, it comes down to the fact that Square Enix are doing a pretty good job of keeping everybody guessing on this one. Like, we've all got ideas, everybody's got ideas, but no one knows shit. I don't know shit. Do you know shit? If you know shit, tell me. But I think I've degraded into rambling now, so that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Again, thank you very much for the support on YouTube recently. We are growing really well, and I want to keep that going. We've got lots of stuff coming over the next few weeks. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. So, let's enjoy. Let's just enjoy. Let's eat well. We've still got that FF9 remake. It's coming. I'm telling you it's coming. We will hear... That is the non-Final Fantasy VII thing that Katase spoke about at the start of the year. It's coming. I'm going to do a video on that soon as well. But, like I say, like, sub, share, do all of the things, you lovely, lovely people. But more importantly than all of that, have a great day.